trouble for me in the ring would be with somebody who didn't get it, who is like, no matter what I told them to do, they didn't do it right. You
Now,
know,
under those circumstances, Ted, if you're in the ring with, I'm just going to throw out a name that I assume you might be talking about, somebody like Ultimate Warrior, who had a history of being difficult to work with in the ring and kind of wanting to do his own thing. Are you throwing a stiff shot in there to try to like calm him down or set the tone, or how does that go?
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, and even him, and I, my gosh, the time that I worked with him was, was like it was such a short match, and um, I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't happy about it at all because number one, I didn't respect him at all. I didn't respect him at all because he had no respect for us. He had no respect for the wrestling business. For
Right.
him, it was all a means to an end, and all the boys understood that. All the boys could see that, and I can't understand Vince. Got I don't know, maybe Vince's ego is, I'm going to take this giant muscle head and watch me make a star out of him. Just because Vince thought he could make anybody, and to a degree he did. And but I mean that's just it. Unless the Warrior was in the ring with somebody who could lead him, he couldn't do anything. And
Right.
and if you ever watch his matches, you could name the things he did in every match. He'd get in the ring and back and forth and shake the ropes and do his, you know, puff and beat his chest, and that's it. Game over.
Right. And he was blown up before the match
Yeah,
started because he'd come running down to the ring.
yeah,
Yeah, and man, interesting kind of looking back, as a kid, I would see the Ultimate Warrior on TV and be like, oh, jacked up guy, face paint, crazy hair, like I like him, and that was kind of all it took. But then, as you start to get older and hear all the stories and just kind of see that, as you said, he's doing all the same stuff. It's lariats, it's like the big press that's probably really dangerous to take. And there was nothing under the hood.
yeah, yeah. He just and that's it. The other thing is, growing up in the business like I did, first thing is your first your first obligation is to take care of the other guy's body.
Yes.
In other words, if any, like, and because things happen where you slip or whatever, but in any way that you can, if something happens, you try to protect the other guy, and if both guys have that attitude, then everything's going to be okay. But
Yes.
when one guy doesn't care, and he didn't care who he hurt. It was just means to an end, and it was really sad. I just um, the other, I don't know. I guess, and I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for Vince, but the only thing I could think is, Vince is one of those guys. Is like, well, you don't like him. Watch what I could make of him. And he did make him a big star, but his star power didn't last long because he couldn't do anything. He could do four or five things, and everybody after everybody saw that same match over and over and over, you get tired of it. Let's go on to something new.
Absolutely. And then, not to mention, it's like, man, he was really starting to ascend, and then he starts issuing ultimatums to Vince, the boss, other talent. And it's
Oh,
like,
oh yeah,
it's oh gosh,
hit the road, Jack.
yeah,
Yeah,
ridiculous. Jake tells a story about how he had before he was able to start a program with Warrior, he actually had to come to Warrior at Vince's request and ask permission to work with him. Insanity, insanity, letting the inmates run the asylum.
yeah. Vince, I mean, I know Vince. Jake never told me that, but well, I'm sorry, but I mean, I got along with Marcus. I got along with everybody. I, and there's guys you really like, and there's guys and if you don't really like them too much, you just stay away from them. But I pretty much got along with everybody, and anytime that question comes up, is there any one guy that you just had no, and that's it. It's the Ultimate Warrior. To make somebody, you know, go ask the guy if you can work with him. Are you serious? No,
Ridiculous.
that's going way too far.
Ridiculous.
You
And
know,
man,
and I, you know what? And I would say that to Vince today.
you've got a guy like Jake who's a veteran talent. You know, he established himself, proved himself over years, the territories, everything. And man, being foot, you'll have to ask Jake next time you see him around about that story, because Warrior's reaction whenever Jake comes and asks permission to work with him, man, it is unbelievable. We covered on this my other podcast, the Snake Pit. So if you guys want to hear it,
Wow,
go ahead and go listen to that. But man, Warrior's
wow.
reaction and the way that he treated Jake when Jake asked permission, just awful.